Hey, Washington Commanders fans, get ready because the information I'm about to reveal is going to stir the emotions of any fan passionate about this team. A highly respected source that has been following the Commanders for years has just dropped a bombshell about a possible negotiation in the next offseason that could completely change the course of our defense. And our latest behind-the-scenes information shows that Cliff Kingsbury has finally opened up and revealed the frustration that is taking over the coaching staff. But the question is, how will the Commanders management deal with this? And of course, don't forget to leave a like. It's just a click, it's quick, and it's all I ask. Everyone is focused on the 2025 trade deadline and the possible moves Adam Peters can make before it closes. But the truth is that the big play may only happen in the 2026 offseason according to privileged information that has reached us. And look, when I say it will cause surprise among fans, believe that I am not exaggerating at all. The current situation of our team does not favor big moves now because we are dealing with an avalanche of injuries and veterans who are clearly declining in performance. That dream of fighting for the Super Bowl that we had before the season has turned into a nightmare of 3 wins and 5 losses in 8 weeks played. Peters has already spent a lot of draft capital to bring Marshall Lattimore, Deebo Samuel, and Laramie Tunsil here. Considering that we only have 6 picks for the 2026 draft, it makes no sense to continue mortgaging our future with more trades now. But that's precisely why the next offseason could be really busy. John Keim, who is the ESPN journalist, who has been following the Commanders for the longest time and has solid sources within the organization, let slip information that should worry a lot of people. He believes that the management may be open to listening to proposals for our defensive lineman Daron Payne after the 2025 season ends. That's right, Payne may be leaving. Now you must be wondering why we would trade one of the few players who is actually performing well in this disastrous season. The answer lies in his contractual situation and the management philosophy that Peters has been demonstrating. Payne has 1 year left on his contract and is clearly playing for a new millionaire deal. He is demonstrating those dominant characteristics of a defensive line leader that we, frankly, had never seen before with such consistency. Much of this is due to the presence and influence of Jonathan Allen, but there is no denying that Payne has evolved a lot in his game. The problem is that Peters may be seeing this scenario in a different and less romantic way than us, as passionate fans. Payne's own recent history tells a lot about the concern that the management may have. In 2022, which was also a contract year for him, the guy simply exploded and had his best professional season. There were 11.5 sacks, selection for the Pro Bowl, and all that dominant performance that any team wants to see. Result? He earned a millionaire contract extension, and immediately his performance plummeted in the following seasons. This is a pattern that professional organizations pay close attention to because nobody wants to pay fortunes for players who only perform when they are playing for a contract. Now we are seeing exactly the same situation repeating itself, with Payne having another spectacular season precisely when he is 1 year away from becoming a free agent again. Peters isn't dumb and is definitely analyzing the situation very carefully. The question is whether he'll be willing to pay Payne another massive contract, knowing his history of performing worse after signing extensions. Furthermore, the Commanders don't have 2nd and 4th round picks in the 2026 draft due to previous trades. This means we need to recoup draft capital somehow, and trading Payne might be the solution to that problem. Considering how dominant he's been this season, there will certainly be a market for his services, and we could get good picks in return. It's a tough decision, but it makes sense from a long-term roster management perspective. Comment below if you agree with this strategy or if you think it's crazy. From a financial standpoint, the numbers are too tempting for Peters to completely ignore. Trading Payne in the next offseason would save $16 to $81 million on our salary cap, even carrying $11.2 million in dead money. This freed up money could be used to sign multiple players in positions of need or to re-sign other important guys on our roster. Of course, it would need to be an irresistible offer from another team, something like a 1st or 2nd round pick at a minimum. But the whole scenario will depend on the contract demands Payne will make when it's time to negotiate, and whether Peters will be willing to meet those demands or prefer to maximize his value in the trade market. The harsh reality is that losing Payne would be a huge blow to our defense that already relies heavily on him. The guy is one of the cornerstones of that defensive line, and finding a suitable replacement won't be easy or cheap. But if you follow the work Peters has been doing, you know he's not afraid to make tough decisions and get rid of players when he thinks it's best for the future of the organization. He's already demonstrated this several times since he arrived here, and it won't be loyalty or sentimentality that will make him change his mind. Peters always thinks long-term and about building a sustainable team, not about making fans happy in the short term with emotional decisions. What bothers me most as a diehard fan is thinking that we're always one step behind in building a winning roster. It seems like every time we have a player performing at a high level, either he gets injured or we end up trading him for draft picks that may or may not turn into something useful. I understand the logic of not wanting to pay fortunes to players who might be bluffing to get bigger contracts, but there comes a point where you need to keep your core of important players together if you really want to compete. The question is whether Payne really is part of that essential core, or if he's just another asset that can be converted into draft capital for us to continue this eternal rebuild. Another thing that needs to be considered in this whole equation is the impact that Payne's departure would have on the locker room and team chemistry. He's one of the guys who's been here the longest and knows the Commanders' culture inside and out. Losing veteran leaders can destabilize a young team that's still trying to find its identity. But at the same time, if he's phoning it in when he's not playing for a contract, maybe it's better to have players who give their all regardless of the contract situation. It's a complicated dilemma that has no right or wrong answer, just different consequences depending on the choice that's made. Peters is going to have to weigh all these factors in the coming months and make a decision that will affect our team for years to come. If he decides to pay Payne, he'll be betting that this time it'll be different and that the player will maintain a high level of play even after signing the contract. If he decides to trade him, he will need to have a solid plan to replace his production on the defensive line and use the draft picks intelligently. As a fan, I just want to see this team winning again and truly competing, with or without Payne. Now, the information that just leaked from inside the training facility will make you understand exactly what is holding back our offense and preventing us from winning games. Cliff Kingsbury has finally opened up and revealed the frustration that is taking over the coaching staff with a specific problem that keeps repeating game after game. And look, it's not a lack of talent or effort, it's something much more worrying than that. Stay until the end because I'm going to show you a specific play against the Chiefs that perfectly summarizes this whole mess. Before continuing, leave a like now and subscribe to the channel. For most of this frustrating season, our offense has at least managed to keep the team alive in the game, even in losses. But in Week 8 against the Kansas City Chiefs, that changed completely and frighteningly. The defense did an incredible job in the first half, limiting the Chiefs' offense to just one touchdown, creating perfect opportunities for our offense to capitalize and take the lead. But the offense simply didn't show up, and we went to halftime in a pathetic tie that already showed that things weren't going to end well. Dan Quinn pointed this out as one of the crucial factors in the 28-7 defeat, and Kingsbury completely agreed as the team prepares for the next game, trying to finally get a victory that hasn't come for a long time. Kingsbury got straight to the point when asked what is hurting his offense. He talked about week-to-week inconsistency, changes in positioning at all times, and the inability to score points when we need to. You know what's most revolting about all this? In the last 2 weeks, we've been inside the 40-yard line more than 8 times and managed to score just 7 points in total. That's unacceptable at any level of football, let alone the NFL. Kingsbury took part of the blame, saying that they are not able to execute routine plays consistently, and that this is a problem for both the coach and the execution of the players on the field. As a fan, I respect this honesty, but it doesn't alleviate the frustration. The most shocking aspect of this whole situation is that it represents a complete change from what Kingsbury's offense was able to do in 2024. Last year, we were efficient, creative, and above all, consistent in decisive moments. Now we are converting less than 40% of third downs during the entire season. Kingsbury mentioned that the inconsistency appears in these critical points of the game, with offensive linemen letting defenders get through freely, communication failures in passing routes, and silly mistakes that cost dearly. These are basic things that a professional NFL team shouldn't be messing up so often. But here we are, repeating the same mistakes every week without being able to fix anything. Comment there if you are also tired of this situation. Let me show you a perfect example of how these communication breakdowns are costing us games. In the first half against the Chiefs, we had a 4th down play needing only 1 yard to gain. Marcus Mariota dropped back to pass, and his first option was Terry McLaurin running an out route towards the sideline, well beyond the 1st down marker. McLaurin was wide open as he broke off the route, and any pass there would have easily guaranteed the 1st down. But you know what happened? Mariota threw a long pass towards the end zone where there was absolutely no one. The ball fell to the ground, and we lost possession without any chance of conversion or scoring. It was painful to watch live, and it gets even worse when you understand what should have happened. Kingsbury explained after the game that they were trying to make that play and liked the matchup they had with Terry against the Chiefs' safety. The problem was a communication breakdown between the quarterback and receiver that cost them a golden opportunity. Kingsbury said that unfortunately they couldn't capitalize, but they liked the play, they just couldn't execute it properly. This communication breakdown wasn't an isolated incident. It represents exactly what's affecting the entire team. One player does something thinking one way, the other does something else thinking differently, and in the end, the collective pays the price with accumulating losses. It's incredibly frustrating to see this happening repeatedly without any apparent solution. Maybe the problem is a lack of on-field chemistry between Mariota and McLaurin. After all, they've had very little time playing together to develop that necessary chemistry between quarterback and receiver. When you have a choice route where the receiver can go to two different sides and the quarterback needs to read the play the same way, if there's no synchronization, the result will always be bad. Or maybe it's even a matter of broader communication within the entire offense. Whatever the root cause of the problem, Kingsbury certainly knows better than us what's happening behind the scenes and needs to find a solution quickly before the season is completely lost. Kingsbury's most important statement was when he said that they need to get in sync and find a way to overcome this because it's exactly what's preventing the team from becoming what he thinks they can be on offense. This shows that he believes in the potential of this group, but is just as frustrated as we fans are with the lack of execution. The talent is there, the plays are being drawn up correctly, but something isn't connecting between what is planned and what happens on the field. If we don't solve this in the next few weeks, we can write off this season as definitively lost and start planning for 2026. Now, I want your honest opinion on this situation. Do you think these communication and inconsistency problems are coaching failures that Kingsbury needs to resolve? Or are the players simply not executing what's being asked of them on the field? Answer in the comments, because this discussion may reveal whether we still have salvation or if the problem is deeper than we imagine.